Hi, welcome to Small Business Development Center at Daytona State College. The Small Business Development Center has been in Florida since 1976. We are a network of consultants who provide consulting services to small businesses to help them grow and succeed. We not only provide consulting services in the areas of business plan, marketing, social media, cybersecurity, a business model canvas, or key performance indicators, all the tools which will help you grow and succeed, but also we provide training. And these trainings are based on the latest insights and the research that we get, which is needed for the businesses to grow and succeed. In the end, I would like to say, enjoy this version of our training program. Let us know if there are some improvement areas that we need to do it. I hope that if you need further assistance and help, please come to Small Business Development Center here at the Daytona State College, or you can go to www.sbdcdaytona.com. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Florida State Small Business Development Center here at Daytona State College. My name is Mitch Bryant. I'm one of the consultants, and we're hosting this event. Hope you find it very informational and to your benefit. Quick background on myself. I'm kind of the financial guy here at the office. I've been in banking, commercial banking, for over 25 years, so this is kind of down my alley. And after you get done viewing or participating, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us, and we'll help you at any time at no cost. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Bill, and we'll get going.
Thank you very much. We'll get past here. So just want to introduce myself. I spoke at the last one on sales. My name is Bill McNeil. I'm an attorney, still licensed in Michigan for 19 years. As I said at the last one, for those of you who are here, please don't hold that against me. I'm in a 12-step recovery program from being an attorney. So I'm on step 11, making amends to everybody, so I apologize. Adam is my business partner. I'll let him introduce himself, but basically my background is, even though I've been in the law for 19 years, my entire career has been in sales. I was a national sales manager for an international organization. And then when I met Adam, when we put our two together of financial forecasting, which is what he's going to be talking about today, plus the sales, that was a really good combination and 1-2 punch for our company, which is Accelergy Consulting. So thank you for having us, and I'm going to turn it over to Adam. Unfortunately, we have to hold this up here because of the webinar, so that's why it looks weird that we don't have a microphone, but we're using my Bluetooth.
Yeah, so my name's Adam Pickett. My background is marketing and strategic decision making with financial analysis. So my whole backstory is I wanted to work for Disney from the time I was about 10 years old and on. So everything I did, from working on the college program in college, my first job out of high school was at a Disney store. So I moved down here about 10 years ago. And spent, after getting my MBA, after working in a small business for a number of years, moved down here, spent 7 years in marketing with some strategic financial analysis support roles. And then I stepped away and started my own startup company, raised some capital, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And then Bill and I went through a accelerator program together and really kind of bonded over that a couple of years ago, stayed in touch. And then we really kind of found this unique niche on the sales and financial side from a consulting perspective. So that's when we kind of put our heads together. And we really believe that just a little bit more about us, we really believe all challenges come down to financial and sales. You've got your product, you're really good in that sector. Do you have enough sales to support it? And does your financial and strategic analysis allow you to kind of move forward? So what we do is we kind of have a 30-day sales rescue plan where we come in and your company may have plateaued. You're on one path. You may be going up or you may be going down, but we really come in and try to put and put a lot of emphasis in on those 30 days to set you on a different trajectory. Obviously, we want to stick around and be with you a lot longer, but at least we can come in and help put your business on a different trajectory, kind of like what you were talking about with what you do. So before we jump into things, since we're a smaller group, I think just to everyone get a quick perspective on what we're doing, just mention who you are and what your business is real quick. So, Chris, you can start.
Chris Concannon, and I'm in the mortgage.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Rick with we're HVAC contractors.
What's your name?
Mary.
Mary? Okay, perfect.
Above entertainment.
Okay, perfect. We didn't scare you away last time, so you're back, I see.
I'm Silas Santos, and my wife and I run Brazilian Satisfaction.
Yep.
My name is John. My company does technology repair, training, consultation.
Awesome. I know.
My name is Bernie. I've went small business consulting, and I've been a banker for 21 years in Michigan. And I've owned 6 small businesses, usually starting from scratch, building to $1 million and selling them all. So I'm supposed to do
So the nice thing is we have a very broad range of businesses inside of here. And the nice thing is the principles on financials and really strategic decision makings don't change regardless of what business you're in. And really the same principles follow suit on sales with Bill on the sales side of things. But let's go ahead and get started. And please feel free as we're going through this to have any questions. If you have any questions, we also have a few exercises that we're going to do that we can kind of lay out with things. So I started a tech company a few years ago called My One Resource. We were fortunate enough to raise over $600,000 in capital, which I had no idea how challenging that was going to be, and really didn't know until we were partway through it how hard it was to raise capital, especially here in Florida. And I don't know if anybody out there has raised capital for their businesses, but it's absolutely crazy, especially in the tech industry. In construction, in some other areas here in Florida, it's one thing, but to do it in the tech side, it's really, really challenging. But here's the other thing. We had zero revenue when we raised that $600,000 in capital. We also had no product whatsoever. So, yeah, thank you for – we had no idea what we were doing. So how do you think we did that?
Wasn't your good looks.
No, it was not.
Sorry.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. A face only a mother would love, right? Yeah, exactly. We stuck people up. Yeah. Anybody else? Any ideas? Come on. So business plan was, you know what? No one ever read a business plan from us. Isn't that crazy? Not a single investor read a business plan. Huh? No, not crowdfunding. Nope.
Tewari, are you saying you didn't have a product?
We didn't have product. We had zero sales.
Did you go market the potential product first, and then no?
No, we were going to individual investors. The reason we raised it was financial forecasting. We did nothing but build out our financials and tell a story. It was all about that potential. You hear that with I don't know if we've got any sports fans out there or not, but the NBA draft is coming up, and everyone talks about it's not about your performance, it's about your potential. And so that was the same thing for us. We were able to sit there and project out where we were going to go. And it wasn't just about revenue. It was about the other things that went into it. It was about the marketing. It was about the sales. It was about all those other things that went into it. So the reason I bring that up is that regardless of where your business is at, whether you're starting up brand new, we got the hamburger guy's back. I like it. Regardless of where your business is at, if you're a startup just starting out or you've been around for decades, you've got to tell a story every time you talk about your business. And Bill, you can say this on the sales side. It's all about telling a story and how you kind of craft that story and craft that message. And the first thing it starts with is a backstory, an emotional hook, something that goes into it. On the sales side, it's maybe talking about the pain points that someone's doing. But whether you're selling or whether you're starting out a business, you've got to have that backstory and that emotional hook to suck them in. The middle can be all about the product benefits, right? It can tell them about what it is. It can tell them how it's going to support them. It can talk about all those different things. But that's where the product benefits and features come in. But your close is going to be on the facts and the data. And that's where that financial piece comes in. If you're looking to raise money, you're all about that ROI. What's the investor going to get out of it? If they put in $100,000, how are they going to get 500, $1 million, $5 million back on that investment? If you're selling your product, what's the ROI going to be for that sale? Or what's that savings going to be? How much are they going to be able to reduce their cost by purchasing your product?
And I have a quick story on that. So this is a really good example, and I have seen Adam in action. I actually knew Adam as he was raising more money. So I actually knew him before and I saw some of his pitches, okay? I also raised money for one of my startups. I raised $100,000 in 2 months' time. So I can tell exactly that this is exactly how we raised our capital as well. Is I had a story about being an attorney. I had a problem. I created a web-based solution for that. I had benefits and features. But the real key when you get down to the nitty-gritty with an investor is always, what are your facts and data? So what do you have to support that when they do the due diligence? Because they're not going to just hand you a check for $50,000 if they haven't done their due diligence. Bankers can tell you that for sure, right? So it wasn't really until I met Adam, I had all these companies, and all the companies that had started and built and sold, right? I've had 4 or 5 that have built up and sold, really did not have that key financial forecasting piece to it. And as soon as I met Adam and we started doing financial forecasting for our business is really when my sales skills took a big jump as well. So it's been a real key to me in terms of the sales piece as well.
And we just talked a little bit about the startup side, but really, I'm glad you mentioned the banker side, because you were a banker for how long? You say you were a banker too, right? So when people come to you and they need $30,000, that's the wrong time to come to you, right? Right? They needed to come to you 6 months beforehand. So regardless if you're a startup looking to raise money or I don't know how long you guys have had your business. 10 years. So 10 years. If you know you're going to have a cash flow problem, you need to project that out so you know if it's going to happen 6 months from now, now's the time to start trying to get that money from a banker. So again, it doesn't matter what stage your business is in. And again, I'm talking about from one experience on my startup side, we projected that out for 5 years, going month by month. Bill and I have done that for our consulting business, going month by month, and then we're able to track that, update it, go back and forth. And we'll talk about some of that a little bit later on as we keep going. So here's my goals for today for everyone, to help you understand the importance of financial forecasting. So hopefully you can come away here from today and realize, regardless of what stage your business is in, you need to start tracking your numbers. Because it's so critical to everything that you do. Numbers are fun, guys. I can tell you, numbers are fun. Some ideas you can implement into your business. Hopefully you're going to walk away and take some things that you're going to start doing today that may not benefit you tomorrow, but they're going to benefit you a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. And then the final thing that you're going to hear me talk about going forward, it's not just about forecasting your numbers. This is how you're going to make strategic decisions for your business. Every single decision you make really comes back down to the financials. Does it make sense? Can you afford it? How's it going to impact your bottom line? So that's kind of the goals for today. Any questions on that? Oh, yeah.
Actually, kind of going back to the beginning when you said you didn't have any money, basically, and you had your forecast, and you said you went to investors besides the banks. Who are these investors?
So you start.
Where do they come from?
So it's a great question, right? So first thing is you start with your parents, for me, for my parents. And one of the things that people will say to you is, if you or someone close to you isn't willing to invest in you, why should anybody else? So we legitimately did start with our parents. It was my brother and I that started the business. But then from that, we went to a few other high net worth individuals that we knew in our community, and then we went on past that to find and got other connections and got other people to go.
So they would kind of like present you new people to maybe take your ideas.
Absolutely, or just networking or getting out there. So think about this. There's only 2 reasons people invest in something. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. So the question was, If you raise money, how do you find those people? So there's only two reasons people are going to invest in something, in my opinion, whatsoever. They either know you or they understand the sector that you're in. And what I mean by that is, one, knowing you is the easy part, right? You like me, you don't understand exactly what I'm doing, but I like you, I'm willing to invest in you. The other side of that, the sector piece, is if I've been selling tractors my whole life and you come to me with an idea for a tractor or a product that integrates to a tractor, I understand that business. I understand that sector. I'm willing to take a risk on that. If you look at Silicon Valley, why there's this clustering effect out there, it's because everyone understands it. They know it. An investor out there knows that they're going to make 10 investments and they're going to lose money on 9. They're spreading their money out, but they understand the sector. They understand how it works. Why in Orlando are there a bunch of theme parks? Because when one popped up, they all started to cluster around the others. Same thing for car dealerships. You see clusters around. Anyway, that's going on down the path, but that investment comes down to either they know you or they know the sector.
We start out and then you just kind of go from there, and sometimes they kind of push you into somebody, and then that person would push you to another.
Exactly. It's no different than probably how you built your business. Right. You may do some marketing, but it also comes into referrals. It comes into word of mouth, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and then you had a question.
No, that was basically it.
Okay. Yeah. Did you?
Yeah. So, we don't want to go down that hole. I don't want to continue down that rabbit hole too much. We don't have 4 hours. We could regale you with investment stories for sure. We've both been there. I've actually pitched in Silicon Valley. I pitched to 8 billionaires at Foundation Capital downtown San Francisco. So, and survived. They didn't eat me up too bad. But the long and the short of it is, there's a couple things happening, and it's starting to happen in Central Florida. Okay, I just had a meeting on Tuesday with what's happening is people are going outside of Central Florida and building these large businesses, and a lot of the founders are coming back and are kind of in stealth mode investing in some of these companies, right? So there's one that we met on Tuesday. They're putting in $50,000, $75,000, $25,000, housing the people in their building, but they're not making a big deal about it, right? You have to be in that. You have to know how to dig under. You need to know how to get into the networking, who to know, where to go. 1 million cups is fantastic. Okay, there's a lot of venture capital. And if you want it and you study it, you do the proper pitch decks, you can get it. It's just a matter of you really need to immerse yourself. And that's the problem that a lot of business owners have is they'll focus completely on investing money and they forget that they still have to have a product and they have to sell it. So it's unusual to not have a product. I had a product that I bootstrapped and was actually making money. That made it much easier for me to go and get angel investment, right? Because I could say, look, I built it. Here's making money. I just need growth capital. Okay, so that's an unusual story, but I just wanted to let you know that you can do it if you know what you're doing.
You've had success with those.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Orlando, we're doing it. We're doing one on. Well, we can do a shameless plug.
So exactly. So we're doing May 31st here at 1 Million Cups. Yeah, because we're looking to scale our business as well and how we do things and help others out. But I've done 1 Million Cups for my other company. We actually did it in 5 locations. So we did it. We obviously started in Orlando. We did Daytona. Then we did Tampa, St. Pete. My brother did it up in St. Louis. So it's a great way to if you're going in looking for capital, don't go in with that mentality. Go in looking for advice. You never know who's going to be in the room. It's a good way to get exposure for yourself and your business. But it's a great place to pitch and practice. So, yeah. Did you have a question or not?
Yeah. In my case, my parents are not alive anymore. I don't have siblings. Are you familiar with Kickstarter campaigns, Indiegogo, and so on? I've seen a lot of ideas get pitched on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but they fail. If I want to do it in the future, I want to do it right, and I don't know how to do it right.
So, a couple quick. We're going to do 2 more. I have 2 questions, then we got to move on, right? So, the answer to that is we just had a client do a Kickstarter, failed miserably. Okay, unfortunately, we got in too late to be able to tell him don't do it. All right. He spent $25,000 with a marketing company to do it, and he raised $1,900 as of yesterday. Has 10 days left in the campaign. You have to hit your threshold in Kickstarter to get any of it, right? So very, very, very difficult to do a proper Kickstarter campaign. Okay, you have to have a large network already have been built up, right? You have to have built a community and a following, and then launch it to your community and say, hey, by the way, we're doing Kickstarter, and everybody just jumps on, right? So that's story number one. Number two is, back to the 1 million cups. I was actually pitching for my startup, and I'm not even joking. And I told the story to a bunch of to the organizers. Is when I sat down and the next person got up, I was getting LinkedIn messages about what are my terms for investment. So, and I said, well, SEC rules don't allow me to put my terms on LinkedIn Messenger, but let's set up a coffee. And within 7 days, I had a check for $25,000 from this person. So it does work. He would have said, "Here's my terms," right? But no, I didn't violate those rules.
No, it's Kickstarter's. Yeah, Kickstarter's really challenging. So, but yeah, so we'll keep going. But please, let's stop. If you have questions, because it's good to kind of stop and go through this. So first thing first, I am not an accountant. I want to be very clear. I may look like an accountant, but I'm not an accountant. I'm gonna repeat. I am not an accountant. I don't want any part of that piece of the business. It's a critical piece, and a good accountant is worth their weight in gold. But there's so much more that needs to be told with this. And again, that's where I keep coming back to the word strategy or strategery, however you want to pronounce it. I help businesses make strategic decisions through financial analysis. We put those mechanisms in place so that you can help make decisions going down the road. So how healthy is your business right now? Anyone? Thumbs down. That's not good, right? So we all struggle at times with the health of their business. So one of the things I always like to ask people is, can you tell me right now how much money to the penny is in your banking account right now? You can. That's awesome, right? That we've got several people that can do that. So that's for your business. How many people can tell you on the personal side to the penny? How many? Yeah, okay, that's good. So we have a lot of people that can. I can't, obviously, because I'm anal retentive. Yes, I know. On your business, yeah, exactly. So does anyone out there manage their finances? Not knowing the penny, but do you manage your finances by opening up your checkbook and making sure you can make payroll, make the rent, make all those kind of things? I call that cash flow accounting, right? So you just open up the checkbook and hope that you have enough cash inside of there to kind of make those strategic decisions. And that's scary as hell, right? It's scary not to know where those things are or where you're going, or not to know if you're going to have enough money next week to even survive. So let me ask this. Does everyone know the end game for their business? You guys have had your business for 10 years. What's your end game?
Either sell it or our son will take over.
Perfect. That's awesome. So do you want to build it up and sell it? You've sold 6 businesses, right? So you've built them up and sold them. You know how to do that. What's been the key between all 6 of those? Sorry.
Because of the fact that I've been trained, the only reason to open a business is to sell it. Because if you're going to open it up to have a job, go get a job. It's a whole lot easier.
That's a great point. So he said the only reason to open it up is to build it up and sell it. If you want a job, go get a job. The other one is, though, if you do want to make it a lifestyle business. So I will say you're kind of doing a lifestyle business now, right, with your consulting, in the sense that you've done well, you've made your money doing other businesses. You kind of want to just pass the time and help others, right, and make some money doing it. The other one is, do you want to pass it on to your children? I mean, those are kind of the 3 categories for a business, and really 1 and 3 can kind of go together at times, where you want to build it up and maybe even sell it to those people. So here's the key. Are you currently doing what you need to do to achieve those goals? It's a tough question, right? We're so busy. You said it earlier, right? You meet people that are so busy working in their business, they're not spending time to work on it. And that's so hard to do. You're so busy. You've got so many things to do on the to-do list. You get so focused on working in the business, you forget to work on it. You forget to step away and look at what is the strategy? How am I going to change my business in 6 months? So that piece is so critical, and that's what we're here to help you with today. So this is from a 2016 State of Small Businesses, and this is the list of priorities that were identified by business owners for going into 2016 or going into 2017, one of the two. Look at what number 1 and number 2 are. Increasing revenues and increasing profits, right? That's no-brainer, right? The problem is over 50% of businesses don't track their financials or don't have a plan whatsoever to put in place. So I want you to think back 3 years ago. You guys have had yours for 10 years. Who's had their businesses longer than 3 years? Has anyone? Do you have? So even if it's on the personal side, I want you to think back to 3 years ago. Did you have goals? Did you set goals for your business? 1, or personally, did you set goals? And 2, financially. And 2, have you reached those goals? Tough thing to think about. But 79% of companies with a financial plan are better off today than they were a year ago. So this is something hard. It's like going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym, you know you're going to be in better shape. The challenge is going to the gym. Next thing you know, 6 months has gone by and you haven't gone to the gym. Had you gone to the gym every day for those 6 months, you'd be in phenomenal shape instead of looking like Bill and I. We're working on it. So everyone knows their problem, right? Everyone knows their needs that they have for their business, what that challenge is, what you need to do. And we all know what those results are that we want. We know where we want to go with this. The problem is we don't spend the time to put a strategy in place a lot of times. And the other key, which is critical, is the process. We don't put the processes in place to back up the strategy, to back up the need to get us the results that we want. You've probably seen that. Process is critical to any business that you're going to sell. You sold 6 businesses. None of those businesses would have sold if you would have said, here's my stuff, go figure it out, right? You've had to tell them how to do sales. You've had to tell them how to manufacture the product if you're building a product. So all of those things come into critical place.
So this is one I just thought about. A story here is left as a partner in a large law firm, built my own practice. I had 15 websites, all these leads coming in, and it was just me. So what happened was the needs here blew up my entire world, right? Like the needs are all my clients, and I got to go to court and everything. I mean, we all know that, right? We get super busy and we're trying to do great for our clients and everything else. It wasn't until I started thinking, wait a minute, I see something here. I see a pattern of what I built. So I started to switch over to here of strategies to handle those clients better. And that's what actually spun off my startup. And it was a web-based product that allowed me to close my clients faster from anywhere. Then I really, for the first time ever, figured out some of my processes. And because I did this and this, I was able to sell it to another attorney. That business is still going. The one I sold to him is still going 8 years later. So, and I didn't do it on purpose. I kind of did it by luck, to be honest, because I'm not exactly the process type of person. But I did do it enough that this did not blow up my world, and I was able to refocus and get some results. And think,
I didn't see this before.
yeah, you have. Typical sales guy. Says he hasn't seen it, but you've seen it 100 times.
Right.
So there you go. So you mentioned you mentioned the working in the business and not on it. In the business is here and here, but on the business is here and here, and that's where so many people fall into the trap. Financial forecasting is what that strategy piece is. When you do that financial forecasting, you're gonna be working on that strategy piece. So the goal of forecasting is not to predict the future, but to tell you what you need to know to take meaningful action in the present. We can't predict the future, but we plot that stuff out to help us make decisions right now in the present. So I'm going to give you an example that goes into this, and this is true story, unfortunately. This is a client that we worked with for a while. They had $4.3 million in revenue over a 2-year period, right? They sell in a major store, major retailer across the country. Think things are good, right? They have $4.35 million in expenses. So even on $4.3 million, they were losing money. And here's what this person said to us was, yeah, but I'm in XYZ organization. So what? Doesn't matter. You're not making money. Do you know how many businesses have gone out of business because they go and sell to Walmart and then they can't keep up with those margins? He was not doing anything to forecast or make those strategic decisions. When we actually dug into his books, he was selling his product for $8.50, and he was only selling it for his product was costing him $8.50. He wasn't only selling it for $8.30. And those programs that he was touting was actually killing his business. You know what the craziest part of this was? His wife is an accountant. His wife is an accountant who does his books. So we came in, and it was painful, extremely painful. But we finally got them to a point that they realized, oh my gosh, we're losing money. Cost of goods sold is a great metric. It doesn't tell the whole story of your business. You've got to look at everything that goes into it. And yeah, I won't. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay.
It was like an emergency room doctor saying, sorry, we did everything.
Yeah, it was tough, and we got up to a good place where they realized they had to make some changes. But when you don't put everything together and look at everything holistically, boy, you can get into trouble really quickly. So accounting versus forecasting. Accounting is really about the past and looking backwards, or giving you a snapshot of the present. But it leaves off the most critical aspect, which is the cash flow. Income statement, balance sheet, critical to your business, right? But it doesn't give you a picture whatsoever of where you're going. It's a snapshot of where you are, and it can hide things. You know, it can hide many, many things because So those things are critical to your business, but it's not going to help you make strategic decisions. So again, forecasting is really about those strategic decisions and really to identify those areas of opportunity. It's not just about identifying the challenges, it's also identifying the areas of opportunity. We'll talk about that when we talk about the weight loss client in a little bit.
We're not patient.
Yeah, well, you are. So start with the past. So what I like to do with some of our clients is go back at least 1 year of your business. If we can go back 3 years, that's great. But let's plot those things out. That is kind of a little bit of an accounting perspective, but you're doing the accounting in a cash flow process, not an accounting standpoint. But we like to go back to 3 years. So we break down all those revenue sources, all the products, all the price points. It starts to give us some really critical data that we can pull out of it. For every single client, we don't know what that data points are going to be going into it. It may differ. You guys have HVAC. It might be the metrics may be way different than a consumer product, but we don't know until we get into that. But when we track it all out, we're able to see some stuff. Then we always split out and we group our expenses. So what's relevant? Cost of goods sold may be one piece of it, and that's one that you always hear a lot. But let's put that payroll together. Let's put that marketing together. Let's look at different things so we can kind of measure up and engage it with each other.
Go back one. I got one quick splitting out. This is something that I didn't realize, but we just picked up an attorney, a law firm. She's probably at about 1.5 million in revenue. But so you think in all outward perspective, hey, doing fantastic, right? But they really have no idea in terms of what areas that they're doing are profitable. So we are breaking everything out down to the penny. It is a painful thing, but she's so grateful to go through it because, okay, your probate and estate planning is doing this. But, okay, well, how many paralegals do you have doing that, and how much is it costing you? Down to the penny. How much time are you spending on it? What is your guardianship practice? What is this? And we do the same thing with all of our other businesses. So the weight loss person is, cool sculpting versus weight loss programs. What is your actual cost and broken down in that groups? And then we're able to better advise you on, hey, we need to spend more money on this segment or price it different, and then we can show a better trajectory.
So the other critical piece is setting up revenue goals. So what are your revenue goals for this year? What are your revenue goals for next year? Bill and I have set our revenue goals for the next 3 years. We've been tracking it diligently here in 2017. And when I say we, I mean me. Yeah. So I've been tracking it digitally. But I do want to pause there, because how critical is that for you as a sales guy? You're able to see exactly where we're going with things, and you know what numbers you need to hit to make sure we're staying on track or we're staying ahead of track. Are they achievable, those goals that you've set for yourself? When Bill and I started our business, we had no idea if our goals were achievable. But now that we've been tracking them month by month, week by week, we know that not only are they achievable, but we've been underselling ourselves. Are there enough potential clients in your market? What's your market share? Are you guys B2B? I'm guessing, or business? Are you selling to businesses or to consumers?
Consumers.
Okay, so residential. What's the size of the market? What's your reach? Is it a 50-mile reach? Is it a 30-mile reach? Yeah. So I mean, just starting to look at what is the potential size of your market. What's the competition? Do you have the capacity? What kind of capacity do you have? We have a client that we were working with. We did a capacity analysis. She's at under 10%. That's eye-opening. She's doing $150,000 a year, and she's under 10% capacity. And can your business be scaled? Can you take it above what it currently is at? And what does that look like? What are your margins going to be? And again, it goes back to are you on a path to get there? So, okay.
Let's talk about scaling. So Adam and I met. It was an accelerator called Venture Scale Up, actually. So it was a second stage accelerator where the whole focus was how do you scale your business. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. You've been able to do it successfully and scale businesses up to a certain point and then sell them. But, when you have an HVAC business or you have a hamburger, you're doing the Hall of Fame or what, you're doing what you're doing, right? You have to figure out when you very first start your business, how am I going to scale this? Because like you said, if it's just me, right, I can't scale that because there's only so many hours in the day. I'm just creating myself a job and I can't scale it. So we've done a good job of that even with our business. So from the very start, because we came from that world of scaling, we are productizing. We are doing webinars. We have heat mapping strategies on how to network. We have, sample financial scales or financial plans that you can use. So we are already productizing our business so that we can eventually scale. And you need to be thinking of that sooner rather than later.
And two other things with that. One is when you go to scale, most businesses hit their plateau right where they need to be scaling. And why is that? It goes back to the working in the business instead of on it. When you hit that capacity point, when you hit that point where you need to start scaling, the problem is you're working in the business and you stop looking more broader with things. The other piece of it is, what's your time worth? How much money is your time, or what do you charge per hour? What could you make an hour? We have another doctor who has a business, and her time when she's actually out doing stuff is $1,000, $1,500 an hour. And she's telling us she's the one for her 20 employees running payroll. She's the one that's paying these bills and doing all these other things. You can go pay somebody $15 an hour to do that, or $20 an hour. You need to focus on what you're best at. You're not good at everything. So how can you outsource it, for lack of better terms? How can you determine, again, where that forecast comes in, if I hire somebody, I'm going to take an immediate dip in my profitability, but it's going to spike up a lot quicker if I bring that person on board. Any questions before we go forward? So we're going to do an exercise, and we've got a couple of exercises built in today. If you don't have, does anyone not have, you're still in the startup phase, right? Anyone else in the startup phase? Okay, so we're going to start building a budget. If you have one already, great, we can rebuild it, but we're going to start actually building a budget for you and eventually doing a kind of a mini financial forecast. So I have this one starting in January. You can start it here in June, but let's first just get all your products down on paper. How many products do you have? How many products do you guys have? Yeah.
There's a plethora.
Yeah, service, you've got this. So if you want to group it just with new units, service, if you want to keep it higher level, but let's write down all those different buckets that are there.
We'll send you these slides too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll send these.
We can get all these slides.
Yeah,
You'll
but
be able to build it yourself.
I want to start writing these down. So let's start building out what our products are right now and what the different price points are. So for our business, just to give you an idea, right now we've got new clients as one of our products. We've got retainers, so reoccurring clients is another one category for us. And we're starting to productize some things. So we're going to be doing some webinars. We've got a series coming up where entrepreneurs can join and get weekly coaching. So those are the different products that we have listed. So go ahead and list out your products right now. Do it for no pay. Do it for the. Yeah.
Speaking for years, you got to figure out whether my products
Yeah.
are going to sell, right? Access to the museum, right? And then
Sponsorships.
inside, are you going to have T-shirts? Are you going to have merchandise? So that's what, if you were right down that station with great question. Is it supposed to be projection too, or just what we have at?
So right now, just do it at the time. If you want to start projecting out, you can.
Certain phases, but
Yep. 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 And what I like to do, which is, and I apologize for this, guys, this is not a slide. Okay. So, oh yeah, go ahead, question.
I'm not sure how to other things that you on the car lot. Or would it be like how much each car is worth?
So what you could do is, so she has a car dealership, right? So do you sell a certain, new cars or used or both? Used cars. So what you could do is you could just keep track of inventory. You could keep it tracked by year, by model. It just depends. One of the things, so as we go down the road, one of the things that's probably critical to you is price point, like how much you're selling them for, and then what that margin is. So those are some things that when we get into key performance indicators, we can look more at. But right now, it's tough, but yeah. I would go back to the story.
This is a perfect example, right, is somebody comes to us and says, hey, I have a car lot. I don't have products, right? Well, let's think of some other products, right? Maybe you could do service. Maybe you could do something else. Maybe you could put it in Auto Trader, or maybe you develop your own platform to sell used cars, right? There's all kinds of things. And then if we were to dive deeper into yours, what kind of expenses that are hidden do we have, right? Like you have to go to the auctions, right? How much does that cost? And down to the penny to drive there, to put somebody up in a hotel, all those little things that can add up, right? That could be affecting your bottom line. But so the reason for this is not necessarily, oh, you got to know what your products are. Be thinking of maybe of other products that you can sell.
Any other questions on that? And again, you can start to project those out as well, but really just want to kind of get a core down for what products you have. Oh, why is he doing that? Next. Going to do it again, I bet. Oh, no, good. So next piece is expenses. What different expenses are you going to have? One, you may want to group your expenses by each product. That's one piece. But what else are you going to have in there? You're going to have marketing expenses. What's your payroll going to be? If you've got a salesperson, what are those commissions that are going to come into play on top of that? No, it's loan payment. Yeah. Listen, whenever we start with a client, I always whiteboard stuff out, and I say this is a judge-free zone. Please do not judge my spelling. My mom is an English teacher. My dad's a journalism major, and they're very disappointed in my spelling abilities or lack thereof. So insurance one. There's so many businesses. You probably had crazy expenses you didn't think about until you got into a business, right?
Well, having been a commercial loan officer and a consumer loan officer, and I handled all the car dealers as consumer loans and commercial loans, all kinds of businesses, and I'm sitting on this side, and that person who owns that business is sitting there, and I'm thinking, how come he makes that much? I make this much, and I'm twice as smart as he is. And I knew that every minute until the first day I started my own business. I realized the dummy was me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm gonna pick on you. I'm gonna pick on you, right? Because you're new. You're new into this. So tell everybody what your business is real quick.
I do the technology, repair, service, training, consultation.
That's not what your elevator pitch sounded like the last time we talked. No, I'm just kidding. So what expenses do you have? And what expenses do you think you're going to have?
Payroll is going to be my worst expense.
Yep.
I need people. Keeping office space low, all the monthly expenses low while I can.
So are you going to need to do office space, you think?
I already have.
Oh, nice.
I got
Congrats.
office sharing.
That's awesome.
Office sharing.
How much? So even though you're fixing it, your equipment that you're going to use to fix it, is that going to be a one-time cost to get that equipment, or are there going to be ongoing costs for each one?
Most of the equipment is one time. Obviously, if it's a part for a specific computer, that usually makes up the good part of the service.
So you're going to have both, but you're going to have some pieces in there. Do you have insurance yet?
Working on it.
Okay. What about marketing?
Got a plan for that. Yeah.
But you budgeted that out and all that kind of stuff?
I'm not paying for marketing yet.
Okay. No, I know, because you've got to at least look for it down the road.
Yeah. I know how much the Google AdWords costs, and it's crazy. I'm not ready to pay for that yet.
And you've determined your marketing channels as well. So you're going to do SEO, you're going to do AdWords. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Anything else you've already identified from an expense standpoint?
Right now it's light. Right now not much. I'm trying to keep it as low as possible.
That's good. That's awesome. So, and thank you. I didn't mean to pick on you. That was good. But no, that's awesome, because there's always things you don't think about or always put into place as you start to go through this process. Oh yeah.
One of the things that most of the people, especially if you're trying to find an investor, and I don't care if it's a little guy or a big bank, you should have a life insurance policy on you for a big number and a disability policy for you, because as far as they're concerned, if something happens to you, what happens to my money?
Absolutely. And you just touched upon the other things too is, for you, are you going to do 1099s or are you going to do employees? With employees, you're going to have, as you get bigger, you could have to roll in benefits. You have to think about some of those other things. So there's so many things that start to layer in with it.
This is what I loved is little things that you don't think about, like a referral program. Okay? That's something that can go viral, can really increase the profits of the business. But where does it show up here? Well, I guarantee you in ours, it's in there. So we have it budgeted for what it costs for our referrals, what percentage we pay. We have it scaled up as to, okay, they brought us a lead, they brought this, that. I mean, we have that all planned out with a program that we can just hand to somebody and say, here's our referral program. So you have to build that in. Commissions for salespeople. I mean, all that stuff should be built in and also forecasted.
Any other questions on that piece? So next stage is we're going to pull that together. And that's pretty simple, right? You're just going to kind of merge those two and start totaling things up for you for every month. And I know that sounds really trivial, but one, it's so critical for your business, and 95% of people don't do it, unfortunately. But it's such a critical piece. You do it once a year when the tax guy needs everything, but you need to be tracking it monthly. You be tracking it weekly, depending on the type of business you have. Here's the most critical piece, though, is what's that cash flow? So let's pretend we're starting in January, right? What you can do is, if you already have cash on hand, you can put that cash on hand somewhere and start out there. That way, at least you got a starting point. But then you can start going through. So let's pretend we're in January right now, right? And we've just done this exercise. Where's our problem coming in at? June, right? Our problem is June. We've got a loan payment that's coming into play. Oh, I forgot loan payment on there. Low payment. We've got a loan payment coming into play that's going to affect us in June. But you know what? We're doing pretty good on the other areas. We know we've got this fixed product that's doing $2,000 a month. We got a contract. We're good on that product. We know our growth from 2016 has been good on product one. We know that's going to keep going. And some of our other products or some of our other costs are scalable to that product. So we know we're going to be okay on that. Problem comes in June, right? So if we know where we're at in January, we can go to that banker and start to talk about getting a line of credit or getting a loan that's going to help us, because we know where we're going. Now, let's reverse this, or let's change this. Let's say we didn't do this, and it's now May 15th, and you realize, oh, crap, I forgot about that loan payment coming up in 2 weeks or next month. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, if you go to the banker then, what are they going to say?
Oh, well, I know you're going to be in business.
Exactly. And not only that, but if you have these going forward in May, you might have a chance, right? But if you don't, slim, right? But if you don't, and you're not getting there ahead of time, you got no chance. Were you going to say something?
No, I'm good.
So I'm going to, I think we should pause here and take a break, and then we'll jump back in and keep going. Any questions, though, from where we're at right now? Perfect. That means everyone's going to do this and take and go. So we'll take about a 5 to 10 minute break here now, so we can go to the bathroom and get drinks. I think this was slotted to go to 11:30. We may finish up at 11 or before that. I'm about getting it done and being efficient as opposed to dragging out. So we'll take a quick break.
We're going to get a copy of all this. Yeah. I think George emailed. Thank you. No, thank you. Well, so where would you? Yes. Actually, what's the other big important? I like it. I was thinking, just being, it's fine, and you want to change your works. Are we okay? Put out by the Kaufman Foundation. Foundation to help entrepreneurs. And the pitch is like a community ducking tank, not shark tank. Right. It's like and it's like you pitch your idea and it was actually organized. This gentleman right here. Oh, no, I don't have ran out. How are you? Eric, good to see you. I knew you were here. You are one of, your car is one of a kind, just like you, my friend. How are you? You take a little picture. One is,
Never heard of this.
oh no, onemcdd.com.
The number one.
Number one, mcdd.com.
Okay.
That'll take you to the website.
And I hope that comes
Downtown Daytona. And then on the theater right on that street. Oh gosh, I'm not sure what it might be called.
Okay, but it's
downtown.
And it's on.
We're late Wednesday, 9 o'clock.
And so do I register on this site to get?
No, that tells you who we are, what we do, and who's speaking.
I didn't know.
You don't have to register, you just come in.
And just see what it's all about.
See what's free.
I'm totally.
Coffee, water, networking, good time. Great pills.
Everybody needs to know.
Oh yeah. You guys all know about it? Oh yeah. Just teach you stuff. Oh, every Wednesday. Entrepreneurs get together, share ideas, connect, build relationships, support each other. It's in downtown Daytona. Have you been? Yeah, I recognize you.
Every Wednesday, do people present ideas?
We bring in one person to tell their story. Sometimes it's a person that has an idea. Sometimes it's somebody that just started a
street down
Okay, all
from
right.
where the old Harry Davidson was.
The opposite side. Yeah, the opposite. You gotta go probably 3-4 blocks
Oh, yes.
from the dealership.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Farther south. Yeah, you should come.
What do they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday.
Really? It's never been done before.
Is it?
Well, if you want to try a message out there. Oh, yeah.
Give their presentation. Let's go. Yeah, treasure life.
We also have a weekly email that goes out that tells you who's speaking, reminds you, especially on distribution. You'll get the email, and then you'll know, oh yeah, really something's going on Wednesday. And look, here's the deal, if you can't make it, no big deal. Come next Wednesday.
I've been there a couple of days.
We're there every Wednesday, unless it's a holiday.
It's like every time I've been there, it's like the same guys were doing the same.
Well, we have different organizers that run the.
No, there was this company, these guys, the Health Light.
Okay.
So I went, about 3 months later, I went again, it was the same guys. I'm like, what the hell?
I will tell you that we do get a lot of people with apps, and especially in the food industry.
Yeah, that's what it was.
There's
It was
a lot
a health spot.
Yeah, it's like, and people ask all the time, you guys, it's just coincidence that it's that way.
Yeah.
It's not us seeking out that group of entrepreneurs.
So if somebody has a product that they would want to show, and they furries, trademark it, everything.
Mm-hmm. Do that. You have to be the founder, the president, or the CEO of the company. That's the requirement. It cannot be an MLM, multi-level marketing. That's one or the other. Unless you're giving me Mary Kay from Mary Kay. As an example. Honestly, because we get a lot of people who apply to present that are the local representative for Take Your Pick, and unfortunately, we do have guidelines that we have to follow from the Kaufman Foundation. We are a local representative of them based in Kansas City, so we have to be careful about this. Who gets us?
A lot of technology.
You have not technology. We had a manufacturer. What's that?
You have to be in business 3 years or less,
Not anymore. Okay. Now, we had David Flick from Command Medical up in Ormond Beach. He has a medical device manufacturing company. He's been in business for 40 years, and he came and spoke. And let me tell you, you want to talk about some nuggets of information that will propel your business to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
He's got the goods. I mean, he really did a great job. But we also brought in, just so you know, we're on break still, right? Yes. Sorry. So I wind up taking over.
You did get it.
Oh, you know what? I should be doing that. Well, they want me to cut out the breaks, though. George had me edit out the breaks.
Oh, so you don't want to?
Yeah, don't worry about it. We brought in an 11-year-old entrepreneur. There's a young guy named Joseph Cofer. He sells popsicles, and you might see him out at events. He's called Shanty Pops.
He's a hooligan now.
And hooligan, and actually, as a result of him becoming a million customers.
talk as people listen.
Oh, good. You're listening. They're listening to this stuff. Huh? Excellent. Like to hear that. So we brought in Joseph Cofer, this 11-year-old entrepreneur that's doing this cool stuff. It took me 9 months to get him because his mom said his school comes first, and I'm not going to let the business take over, his life. And I said, kudos to you, because I couldn't agree more. But he came, and that day was very special because a lot of parents brought their kids because they wanted their kids to be inspired by another kid to go out and pursue their dreams and maybe try a business. And we actually got the News Journal to come. The very next day, he was on the front page of it would have been the Thursday newspaper, front page, not business section, front page of the paper. And it actually propelled him into, as my wife just mentioned, hooligans and other areas where you can now get his popsicles more than just through his stand that he has. He's typically at events in the communities. You'll see him with his little umbrella. He's got his ice popsicle stand cart that he has. And he's just a great guy, great kid, very inspirational, and someone that is here in Volusia County, and we want to see him grow and be successful. And even if he doesn't stick with popsicles, who knows? Maybe he'll start doing donuts or, something else cool. But it's a great time. You guys are always invited. Don't feel like you have to come every Wednesday if you can't make it. It's no big deal. Joseph Kofer. Schmancy Pops. Go on Facebook, look up Schmancy Pops. I believe it's SCHMANCY Pops. And when you take a look at what this young man's doing, if there's not enough inspiration in there for you to pursue your dreams and passions, I don't know what is. It's really good stuff.
So I'm really glad you mentioned that, and I would love an introduction to him because I sit on the board of directors for the Down Syndrome Association of Central Florida. We touch 10 counties, 1,200 families, and one of the things we're putting together to launch in August is an entrepreneur academy for teens and adults with Down syndrome to couple them with either a parent, family member, sibling, and go through a 6-week program and then a 2-week launch process followed up by 10 months of just check-ins because there's so many different kids and adults with Down syndrome that are starting businesses. So we're trying to duplicate that, but I'd love to talk with him about it.
With mom.
Yeah, perfect.
For me.
Perfect.
It'll be 9 months though, I'm just letting you know.
Okay, that's it.
Worked on it for a long time. Yeah, I'll make the connection.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. No, yeah.
Whatever it is.
Or just a video. We'd love to just get a video testimony or something of it.
Even that.
Yeah. So.
I'm already lobbying for
Hey, it's not 6 minutes. You have more time at Daytona.
Daytona.
Yeah.
We're sort of the pioneers.
It's the comfort lanes, right?
The pioneers and the one MC. There's 115 1 million cup chapters. So if you're an entrepreneur that travels, sorry, thanks, honey. Appreciate that. So there's 115 1 million cups chapters around the United States. Daytona has a location. There's a couple over on the West Coast, St. Pete, Tampa. There's one in Tallahassee, and there's Orlando has one. So anyways, but there's 115. So if you're an entrepreneur who travels the country or you go to different areas, look for 1 million cups in that city. And you can go to the Million Cups website, Google it, and it'll tell you all that information. But it's good stuff. The neat thing about 1 million cups, nobody's there to sell anybody anything. They're there to help, support, and connect. And when you build relationships with people, that's where you gain trust, and that's then when you gain business. And so it's a little bit different model or philosophy of thinking about it, but everybody wants to help each other. Everybody wants to connect. We have a great time.
There's only one in Orlando?
There's only one in Orlando. Yep, Orlando has one, and they all happen on Wednesday mornings from 9 to 10 o'clock.
Do you know where they meet?
Rollins College.
Rollins?
The Orlando chapter meets at Rollins College. Daytona meets at Cinematique Theater in downtown Daytona. And go on Google and you'll find the other ones because I'm not exactly sure where all the other ones meet. But it's all good stuff. And it's free.
Tampa's at an economic development center, and then St. Pete's at a really cool kind of co-op workspace.
So you guys are coming up. You're coming.
We're coming up May 31st with my old company. I told them earlier. We actually did 5. So we did Daytona, Orlando, St. Pete, Tampa, and St. Louis. Yeah. So.
And what else? Oh no, I was just going to say we're kind of the pioneers in the 1 million.
That's awesome.
Industry because we don't follow the model of two speakers for 6 minutes each. We give one speaker 15 to 30 minutes.
That's
because
awesome.
You need that. You
yeah.
get somebody with 40 years experience and you ask them to condense that into 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
That's the original model.
6.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, definitely. Oh, but.
No, we're good.
All right. So everyone feeling good. They built out their cash flows for the next 3 years. Just kidding. We're not. Yeah, exactly. So just recapping with everything we just talked about. So again, if we can put our different products up on the slide, have those different revenue points to show where we're going and start to track that throughout the different months. Put those expenses in there. We can then start to determine and see where those cash flows come into play. But here's the critical piece of that. Someone mentioned business plan when we talked about raising our capital. Yeah, and I said no one read the business plan, right? Did you write a business plan for you and your wife's business?
I did.
How long ago was that?
It was in 2014, and we started the business in 2015, so 1 year before.
So how many times have you updated that business plan?
Every month.
Huh?
Every month.
Really?
Oh, because we have to work on this.
Okay.
He's doing financials.
Are you doing financials or business plan?
Well, there's positions above
besides we're still learning.
Okay.
So just give us the judgment that I need.
I should always know the answer before I ask a question, right? I screwed that up. Let me ask you guys. Hopefully second time's a charm. You guys did you write a business plan when you started? You did not. So you didn't even write a business plan, right? So you haven't updated that business. Yeah,
There's fairness to us in our market. It's inundated with AC contractors. It's kind of like you throw one, there's 1,000 of them. So when we kind of started, our business plan was we're kind of like ebb and flow. If we see the market taking us to residential, we'll go residential. If it's to commercial, we'll push it that way. If it's P-tax, so we kind of for many years we kind of just flew towards the commercial side of it, and that was our business plan. We just saw that's where it just kind of built up and grew from there. That was
before your business. Were you in the industry?
I've been in it for 27 years.
So you had that advantage, though, of all that knowledge coming into it. So even though you may not have written a business plan, you had it up here in your head, right? So anyway, so writing the business plans, you usually do that when you start. Most people will do our business model or whatever. The challenge is you don't spend the time to go update it, right? But here's the key. When you do this, that becomes your evergreen business plan. You're always turning to those financials to make a decision. So no matter what you encounter, that's where you turn to. If you need to look at your pricing, you can turn to there. Do you have employees?
Not right now.
So you don't have employees?
We laid them all off.
Okay.
We kind of just went back to scratch.
So, and you probably did that for financial reasons, right? So you're able to see it wasn't making sense. On the flip side, when you want to if you want to go hire an employee a year from now, 2 years from now, you can turn to this to make that decision. And you're probably a lot smarter on what those hidden costs are with an employee as well, right? From workman's comp to benefits to all that kind of stuff. If you want to do a new marketing campaign and want to try something different, if you have a new product on the car dealership side, you can look at those financials and build that out and see where your cash flow is going to take you with things. Okay.
And we have one client. It was pretty cool. We were meeting with him and hadn't done any financial forecasting, really didn't know much of the finances. But when we really got to know him, it's not on here, but they have a new baby and his wife is still working. Okay, so they're doing daycare and everything else. So because we got to know him at that kind of a level, we said, okay, what are some of this? What do you need to do? Well, I need to hit X so that my wife can stay home and she doesn't have to work. And so we were actually able to forecast that out down to the penny of where he's going to hit and she can stay at home. So his peace of mind just went like this. So he has something where he's shooting towards, and that's something that's not on here.
Yeah, your financial goal may be a personal goal. Okay.
The hiring of new employees, that is what made us downscale because we could not find people that wanted to. That was our biggest problem.
So that
nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work.
And what? Okay.
And this profession and the pay was very good. I mean, we were way competitive.
So
doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're representing our name.
Yeah.
And if we send out people that, you know, weren't doing a good job, then it was chaos.
Yeah. So again, there's that.
Or they just didn't come to work because it was.
So, and there's that human element. And how do you factor in? Because if they didn't show up on a Tuesday,
right,
how much revenue are you losing?
Right.
You know? So some of those things are the human element side that you have to manage through. Some of the other things that go, go ahead. No, you were just.
No, I'm just clicking.
So some of that's the human element side, but some of it too is, so pay is not everything. If you're just paying on trying to have the best salary, that's only going to motivate someone for so long. So how do you find someone that aligns with your values? And with those values, what other benefits can come into play with that might make sense? Is it, you know, hell, for me, if I wanted to go work somewhere, it would be annual pass to Disney. Like, that's something that would motivate me. What's going to motivate those people? How do you build that in there?
Right. That's ideas of like birthdays or paydays and trips on the weekend. And we had some little incentives we put in. I mean, we did have good ones, but the problem is your consistency was just.
what I would say to that is all of the businesses that I've consulted with and seen, even at the law firm, partnership level, associates, other businesses that I've had, okay, where I've seen the most success with employees is, again, what we talked about way back, okay, it was in that needs process, right? Process, okay? So what happens is if you have that process down cold, right, and you're even using financial forecasting to know that this person needs to produce X amount of revenue and jobs and profit margin for me to keep them on, you then can make that decision even. So we had it down at the law firm that we built up to 40 lawyers in 3 locations. My partner had it down to the penny of how much an associate had to be billing to make it profitable and then to make it where then partners were sharing on that income. Does that make sense? But we had the process down. Like, they came in, here it is, you're going to do this, and here's where you're going, here's what you do, here's how you represent us. That may cut down on some of that, because you'll know quick, right? They'll X themselves out of the process quickly.
What we kind of thought
right?
about doing in the new another fellow contractor talked about profit sharing. So we know each employee is per year is 1,920 hours of billable hours, and then we kind of factor in some other things. So they're around 1,500. So we say, okay, our thoughts are 1,500 billable hours. You need to be doing this. Anything over that, you'll start getting part of the profit. And you can see if that motivates them for.
And that's something you can build into that. Oh yeah, go ahead.
But cash, fail fast.
Yeah. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
What most people don't do, they keep the person on for 9 months or a year, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Fail fast.
I love that.
Fail fast. Fail fast. Fail forward. Don't go backwards. The other thing too is, and I'm going to talk about this briefly a little bit later on, but who out there has read E-Myth Revisited? Has anybody? So phenomenal book. Have you read it? E-Myth. So E-Myth Revisited. Yeah. So the whole premise is, regardless if it's an individual business or one-person business or a 100-person, 200,000-person company, it's all about processes. The more process you have, the more freedom you have. So we'll talk about that in a second. I hope I explained this right. I want to talk about capacity limits. Just E-dash or E-Myth, M-Y-T-H.
I have a picture of it.
Yeah, I have a picture of it coming up later on. Did I spell that right, Bill? Myth? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm actually impressed.
Thank you. It was a small word. Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. So on capacity limits, I talked about this before. We have a client who we did an analysis and we found out her capacity right now is around 9% of her business that she has an opportunity for. So because we've gone back and tracked her numbers all the way from the time she began, we've been able to see that for every dollar she spends in marketing, she's going to get X amount of revenue. So what we're trying to get her to go, we're turning it into a math equation. And that's what we try to do for all the businesses we work with is, okay, now we have all this projected out. You know your expenses. If we start spending X, you're going to start driving Y in revenue with Z in profit. So how do you turn your business into that math equation? And that's where kind of all these things kind of merge together. So when you start out, if you haven't been tracking your numbers, you've got a wide swath of uncertainty. After month 1, you may come in up here if you're lucky, or you may come in down here. But the key is when you start tracking those month by month, that uncertainty goes down. And you have less and less uncertainty. Right now with our business, from where we started, we know the certainty of our business.
It went from here to here to here. And even when we track our numbers, it's amazing the forecasting. There's a chart plotted like this, and we're just either at or above the entire. It's amazing to see how when you set that in your mind, it's a little bit mystical, but I'm a big believer in that law of attraction, right?
Oh,
sorry.
Big believer in the law of attraction, and begin with the end in mind. I don't care what you believe in, but it just anchored that belief that we could hit certain goals. And I've done that with other businesses as well. So it at least made it real that we could hit this. And then it's amazing when things start to come your way, then make that happen.
And not only for us on the revenue side, right? We're hitting or exceeding our revenue numbers, but on the expense side, we've got less expenses right now. But we know as we've hit into our capacity limits where some of those expenses are going to come up. So again, the sooner you start tracking this, the quicker you're going to get to certainty versus uncertainty. So in the restaurant business, what the saying is location, 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 right? With your business, it's about process, process, process. The more you process and the more you track your numbers, the better off you're going to be. And this process isn't just for your numbers either. It's got to be for every aspect of your business. And we fall into that trap, right? We fall into that trap sometimes, and we realize we got to go back to our process. If we don't get a client for some reason, we can identify, oh, you know what? We skipped that step in our process. So it's got to all be about the processes. And then you've got to have checks and balances. So there's two ways to do those checks and balances, or there's two ways that we do it for our business that works. One is that a checking account. So we make sure that checking account balances up with our forecasting spreadsheet. And when we do that, we know exactly where we are with things. Oh, did you have something? Or no? Okay. So that's how we do our checks and balances. And again, when I say we, I mean me do that to make sure that our stuff has that checking account. Yeah, exactly. But you have no idea where the money's going, do you? Yeah. So it all comes down to those checks and balances that you have for your business, so you know exactly where you're going or what you're missing with things. So key performance indicators. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about key performance indicators. So as everyone, I don't know if everyone knows what a KPI is, but key performance indicator is a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving key business objectives. Most people think when we talk about KPIs that it has to do with sales, but it can really deal with any aspect of your business, that there's critical KPIs. One KPI for you might be certain amount of time it takes to service, right? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? That could be a key identifier. Customer service is one that's critical. What are those? When I was at Disney, although I wasn't in the operation a lot, but that was a critical one, was those customer service levels. Where are those indexes coming in at? Because they knew that having high customer service means repeat attendance, which means higher long-time value, means more money spent on merchandise, all those different things. If you're doing manufacturing production, there may be some critical ones that come into play there. Do you have something?
Yeah, so I'm going to pick on HVAC for a minute, just because I have some knowledge of. One of the startups in one of my accelerators was doing a platform like Uber for HVAC. Okay, so an on-demand, type of delivery system for HVAC. So I got to kind of know this. I got to know the industry a little bit. But what's interesting about your segment is that something like a customer review, okay, like on Yelp or otherwise, it's amazing how it can affect this entire process, right? Like that one Yelp review of somebody who said the guy didn't show up on time, didn't do a good job, charged me twice what I needed for my system, and I'm unhappy, and it's, less than -1 star, right? That whole thing can have an effect and scale, it can have a cascading effect on the whole business, right? So that would certainly be a KPI is your people in the field have a tablet with them. Hey, everything awesome? Your thing's up? It's cool, man? Everything's good, right? We charged you what you needed. I didn't hose you. I did, here, could you just do 5 stars, right? Boom. Now that has a cascading effect because your salesperson who's now calling them says, hey, man, we got 5-star ratings. Check out our reviews on our website, right? That's a marketing piece. That's that. So that's what I'm saying is KPIs, everybody just thinks it's sales, but it could be one little part of your business that could make everything else go. Yeah.
Is that when you have a good service or a good experience, you're less likely to share that. You're more likely to share that. So when if you check out a nice video, like, oh, there's a review on the bottom, you'll get an incentive if you do it out. If you're constantly asking your customers to fill out a good review, then that's how you build it up. They're not going to just oh, let me do a 5-star.
So I forgot your name. Destiny had mentioned that people are more likely to write a negative review than a positive one. So you've got to be key to getting them to do it. That is huge. Here's the other trick. Yours might be a little, I don't think so. You can still do it, right? You're consumer facing. You're selling to consumers. You're selling to consumers. You can write the review for them. That's the other piece. You can write the review and say, hey, listen, we just had a great experience with you. This is kind of what I was able to do for you. Do you like this? Would you approve this? So don't take the work off of them, and you can write a review for them. That's something he teaches on the sales side of things. Here's the other thing that by you writing it can do. What are the different aspects you want to touch upon? Customer service, right? Quality of product. What's some other ones maybe for you? Price is good. Best price. So now if you write those reviews, you can write it with, I'm going to do this one about customer service. I'm going to do this one about product, this one about price. So that's a critical piece where you can write them for the customer, say, just approve it. There you go. So, but that, you're right. The negative piece is so critical for that. Oh, yeah, sorry.
What is HR?
Human resources, sorry. Human resources. Yeah, sorry.
Manage yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't harass yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You know, but think about the metrics. So Disney, again, this is a huge company, but one of their HR metrics is turnover. You know, they have a high turnover for their frontline cast members. So one, how do they reduce that turnover? And two, how do they get people to backfill it quicker? So there's metrics that come in there as well. There's no questions on that? Okay, perfect. So if you can track it, you can improve it. I mentioned this before on the financial side, but this is just important on the data side. And finding those KPIs is going backwards and laying out that data over the past year or past 2 years, are starting to do it now. You know, what's the Chinese proverb? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So starting with that stuff is critical. That allows you to really discover and identify what those KPIs are. Did you have something?
Yeah, take this Y off.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about this. Yeah, exactly.
That was parallel.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, I hope my mom's not watching right now. Accelergy. So these are our KPIs for our business. This is what we measure to know that we're having success. So one, the number of leads per month. We know exactly our sales math equation. We know if we hit X amount of this every week, we know we're going to be successful. It's that simple. So that's where we're at from that perspective. What's our fee per client? For our budget, we have a certain fee that we have set per client. Right now, we're actually a little bit ahead of that for those things. But that's something that we can manage, and it fluctuates. So we've got plenty that are below that average, but again, where's that average at? Where's it peaking? Where do we see those opportunities? And then where's that average fee per recurring client? So that's a critical one for us, is recurring clients. Keeping people on board afterwards. Our business model is, hey, we want to come in and help you over a 30-day period. At that point in time, you've got the tools to go do what you need to do on your own, or you can keep us around to be the strategist, to help you with some other items that we identified through that process, to be a coach, to be a mentor, all those things. But that's us.
And we just met with a client yesterday. This came up, actually. So they're doing a lot of transactional work in the digital printing world. They're doing like variable digital printing. So this is the cool part about our job, is that we get to know something about everything, right? So I now know more about variable digital printing and data-driven this and that and on-demand print centers and everything else. But the one thing that he was lamenting is that they didn't have any what he called annuity clients, right? And we all start, even in the social marketing, like that's what, in order to scale, you have to have these annuity type clients, right? And so you need to be looking for that recurring revenue, because if you're chasing it every month, you're just never going to be able to scale. And that can be, you know, when we talk to other consultants, and the one consultant I'm thinking of, she struggled forever to get that one client signed up, right? And I said, listen, you're doing it. You need to get that one client, and you need to kick you know what for 30 days and just blow it out of the water, right? And then try to get them on a recurring. Well, instead, takes that one client, takes 4 weeks to deliver, doesn't do it, right? I mean, and never picks up that recurring client. I mean, you have to be able to get people on some sort of recurring model. And even law firms are going to this as well, right? They want that fixed fee, flat fee billing with corporations and have that money that they can count on every month.
Yeah, go ahead.
In regard reference to your number of leads per month, you also need to track your closing ratio because your leads could be going better, but you're not doing a good enough job and you're not closing as many percentage.
So here's the thing. We know the leads because of our closing rate. Like we know, you're exactly right. And that's what we didn't tell in the story is that because we know what our close rate is, that's allowed us to determine what this is, how many leads we need per month.
You review the ones you don't close as to figure out why didn't we close?
Absolutely. And I mentioned before. Which one?
We talk about why some don't,
Oh, well, we had one where is they went into what do you call it? They went into the witness protection program, right? We got to the proposal phase, and then I think the FBI got them, and they're gone. But we look back and say, what did we violate? We violated our process. We have a very specific process, and we skipped a step, you know? So we absolutely go back. So here's some other things that I don't have in here. I'm crazy, right? I love to go and dig. I can tell you the age group. We have the age group broken out by percentage of people. We have male versus female. We have ethnicity. We have all those things broken out. So we're starting to see where our sweet spots are by demographic, too. We have everything. We have B2B versus B2C. We have all those different things. So we track. These are 3 of our KPIs. I mean, we have a ton that we kind of look at and go. But again, because we track all these things, it allows us to go, you know?
Question.
Yeah.
You're talking about it's really healthy to track all these KPIs, but let's say if I'm, running tons of service calls and doing installs, how much are you supposed to be, or do I need to be, I guess, watching these KPIs on a regular basis? So now I'm not working, 10 hours a day. Now I'm working 15 hours a day trying to make sure I'm tracking all of these.
So we'll both jump. This comes down to what he said earlier about working in your business versus on it. And I know you guys said you guys have gotten rid of employees because of work ethic, because all those different things. But at some point in time, you've got to offload some of it to be able to grow. And
so it's knowing when to put the tools down and start working on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you don't want to work 10 hours a day. So you can't do that without other people, you know?
So one quick tip on that. Same thing happened to me when I had the 15 websites for my legal practice, right? Just leads coming in at all hours a day. I mean, I was representing kids for underage drinking in college, okay? So I was doing the entire state. So I was doing 400 or 500 cases a year. But the leads that came in were at all hours, all times, right? And you have to find a hack, right? We all talk about hacking in the tech world, right? So you've got to find what works for you to work on your business, okay? So what I did was I had young family. I think my kids were 2 or 3 at the time. Sunday nights, I could get away, right? So I would just leave at like 6 o'clock on a Sunday night because I had done family the whole weekend, right? Beach and all that stuff all weekend. Put in my time, but Sunday they knew I was leaving at 6. Went to my favorite coffee shop, set up, and worked until 10, 11, 12 at night every Sunday, right? And would write content for those sites. And so I was this person's dream of social media and SEO and organic, right? Because I'm just banging. I had 700 pages on some of my sites, right? Just crazy, okay? But that was the time that I worked on my business. No different than us. We have to have time to work on it. So we set aside specific time to work on our business with the 2 of us.
Hard.
Johnny, I'm saying.
Here's the other thing that ties into this, and again, everything's related in a business. You're good at sales, right? If we are in, so in a room where I'm talking in front of everybody, I'm great. But if this is a social mixer, I'm in the corner. Like, I'm just not good. I don't like it. I don't like being out there. He thrives. I mean, this guy can talk to everybody. He's, I just love sitting back watching him talk. Can you do a spreadsheet? No. Exactly. So that's my love, right? I love doing those numbers. I love putting that stuff together. But here's the thing. So we have those two things covered in our business. You know what we suck at is social. We suck at digital advertising. We're starting to see, because we have our numbers, because we know who our people are, we're able to start seeing who we can target. We don't know how to do it. So we can either spend 10 hours figuring out how to target this person on social media and write a blog, or it may make more sense for us to go hire somebody. So that's, you got to weigh those things out. Did you have something?
Sending us an email.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Exactly. No, I mean, yeah.
Well, for all the shout outs I got, I guess I didn't
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So here's, and again, those are just a few KPIs, but there's so many things that come into play. This is this is one of our clients. Doesn't matter who but they have two different products. One product over here is a one-time use product, I guess you could say. So we can say where it is. It doesn't matter, right? So it's a weight loss center. Product one is Cool Sculpting, right? So it's a place where they actually freeze fat and make it go away. Product two is weight loss, and there's two levels of the weight loss. There's two things. So there's the higher level, there's the lower level, and then after that 1 month service, which the price here is about $350 for the new. This one's about $175, $180, but then the ongoing is like $150, and the ongoing is like $65. So obviously, product one is more profitable, right? But volume-wise, not everyone can afford product one, because the average price point is $2,300. Not everyone can do that, right? So product two is a huge opportunity for her and her business. Can anyone see the really big, glaring challenge with product two? And there's a lot of data up there, so it might be hard to find.
They're not converting enough new clients to economy clients.
That's one.
So, yes, but where you were going, where I thought you were going, is right here.
Yeah, you got that part on the page.
So on the economy, so they're not converting. The challenge is converting someone from new into reoccurring. And same thing here, new into reoccurring. So down here, on that economy, which is the lower price point, their lifetime value is 1.4 months.
Better off sticking with the top product.
Yes. What else? Hold on. What else? Don't jump ahead. What else? What else is being missed, and what other opportunity is there?
Well, maybe there's opportunity to convert economy up to.
Potentially, yes. The other opportunity that's being missed is she has a huge referral business. So by every month people that aren't here, or every month that people stay longer, that's more referrals. So anyone have any idea what we did with her from this and what we've got her to implement that is starting to increase her numbers?
Is she looking at why people are not renewing or sticking with?
It's just weight loss. People aren't thinking like, oh, I get this initial one and then I'm going away. And they're not committing to it. Yeah.
They need to come up with some kind of a marketing program that will give that 1.4 person a reason to come back and make it 2.4.
So you're right on there. We did a pricing analysis, and we said, you know what? Let's bundle. Instead of offering it $65 a month, which people are just, whatever, some will come back, some won't. Let's bundle it together. Hey, for 3 months, you can get it for $99. For 6 months, you can get it for $149. So not only did it take her revenue up, which helps cash flow. It also keeps them committed to a longer time frame, which is going to drive more referrals for her. So it's a win-win-win on that side. So here's the other thing with this that we did. So looking back at the numbers, we then projected out for her 2016, 2017. I need to add this in the next time through. So when we built out her numbers and we showed her revenue escalating, we showed all this profit, you know what I did is I went back and took those numbers that we built out and I compared it to these. Well, guess what? Our average length of a success client came in at like 3.4 months. So I realized those numbers were conservative. So I realized that not only can she hit those goals that we set for her, she can actually exceed them, especially as we build in that new pricing model. So again, the more numbers, the more data that you have, the more you can start throwing this stuff together. And if you don't have a clue what you're doing right now, it's okay, because you don't know until you start digging into it where it can go. I'll pause. Questions from that? I know I threw a lot out there.
How did you decide on the pricing model?
I wish I had.
Given too much detail.
No.
Because you hear a lot about how, and you should probably repeat this question to folks who want to hear, but you hear a lot about how it's almost like a trick pricing where you might say, well, the print package is $9.99, the digital package is $9.99 separately for each of those, but the bundled package is, $12.99. So you're not even going to look at one of those three. You're automatically, your brain is going to say, go to the higher level. How do you come up with pricing?
So I need to add that chart into this on the next slide. So what we did is you just start testing, right? You just start throwing numbers into a spreadsheet along with those costs. And when we first ran it, so one of the things that we found out is that oh gosh, now I can't remember which one it was. So with one of them, if we bundled, actually it was this one. If we bundled that initial startup month into a 3 month and said, hey, listen, normally it's $185. I'm making up numbers because I can't think of them off my head. Normally it's $185 for the economy, and it's $65 a month. But if you buy right now for $299, you're going to get 4 months, or for $399, you're going to get 6 months. So it's testing and adjusting. We just we just put in that spreadsheet, and for a couple of the levels that we thought, it wouldn't make more money, so it didn't make sense to do it. But for other ones, it did. So that's how we just tested until we found the right one. Now, it would have made more sense to bundle that into a 4-month package for the initial month, because the initial month's higher, but it didn't make sense here. So as a result, she decided, let's do the 1 month, and then we add the packet, try to sell them on a 3 month or 6 month after that.
Just to build on that, did you compare the rates of other folks that are in her industry to see if she was underselling or overselling her value?
So we do for some. Her model's a little bit different, so there wasn't a great comparable against some of the other weight loss stuff. The Cool Sculpting, she's in the same price range. It's kind of determined because Cool Sculpting's a brand that she's just buying and doing. But that's the other thing is looking at comparables, like looking at the other ones that are out there, and absolutely that comes into it.
Because a lot of times the market will bear more than what you're charging.
We know that was our business. Yeah.
Every business goes
Yeah.
through that. You don't know exactly to what extent will the market bear, and then I start to price people out.
You also listen. The old saying about marketing is 50% of it works. You just need to know which 50%. Part of it too is testing and adjusting. We know for our business we're undercharging for what we're doing for our business, so we're starting to take that up. And you can't be afraid to get some no's to help you figure out how to get there. That's the key. You gotta get some no's. So any other question? Oh yeah.
One other thing, it goes to we got a good response from Fail Fast, right? We certainly didn't come up with that. That's all over the place with people, with consultants, but we did experience it. So we tried, we thought we just knew everything. We're going to do this awesome 30, 60, 90-day plan for businesses, and boom, 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 it's this and it's three. Right, just blew up. But we saw it fast enough that we only did that with one client. We went immediately, and it was actually 1 million cups that changed it for us. So another shameless plug for some more free services.
I'm a sales guy, sorry, is we were at 1 Million Cups, we pitched, and somebody who I had seen for like 2 years, and he's just awesome. He's had like $200 million exits and that type of thing. He was like, hey, I love this concept, guys, but it sounds like you're like kind of like bar rescue or hotel rescue when I watched this show. And the light bulb just went off, right? Like, hey, that's it. And that was like early January. We said, we're 30-day sales rescue. Boom, that's it. So we're going to try to come in hard, fast, sharp elbows, come in and kick butt for 30 days, and it just blew us up sideways. So we just started going like this and having huge success. So it could be that one little change, right? When you fail fast, this doesn't work, this pricing doesn't work, we're still doing it with ours, right? We're still trying to figure out, but we see and we track and we know, okay, that we fell on our butt on that. We tried to charge X, they ain't buying it, right? So we fail fast and we make pivots.
And Destiny, if you need a salesman, I can rent him out to you at a good price. Yeah, no, I know. If you need another one, let's say. Yeah, exactly. So let's do exercise number 2 here. I want you to start thinking about your performance indicators. What are critical to your business right now? It could be a sales metric. It could be a expense metric. It could be an efficiency metric. But just let's take a few minutes and write down what you think your critical KPIs are.
We are going to call on people.
Yes, we are. Yes. Oh, yes.
Over pricing, customer service.
Pricing. So for you guys, I would think that, well, one, customer service is key. If you can start tracking those metrics, I would think how much of your business is new versus service. Well, so that, but also, yes. And okay, so there's something right there. Do you guys sell? You just hit it. Do you sell ongoing? Okay, so tracking all those different things. But I would think too, another critical one is length of how long does it take you to do an install?
There is anywhere from 4 to 8 hours.
So how do you get that down to closer to 4 for all of them? I know.
We actually try not to.
Okay.
Because if you're doing your job right,
okay.
Everything has to really just be perfect for it to get to that 4 hours.
Okay.
Code.
Okay.
But to truly technically, no, they all change up to just under the 6 hour to 8 hour range.
So is that it? What's your passing code rate?
100%.
Okay. There you go. So you don't have to worry about that one right now. So what,
Let's do it exactly, but we haven't had it in a while, so.
Gotcha.
Sounds like, I'm sorry, air conditioning, but is it new construction, or are you doing?
Add-on replacement, change outs.
They're very, very low take on new construction.
Yeah, well,
Because what happens, when builders, you've got to float that money.
when the market crashed, builders kind of started lapping their bills, so we kind of pulled back from new construction and just kind of said, okay, we'll do service. And I would say for them, waiting an acquisition cycle, for customers.
If you don't want.
Yeah. What else? Any other volunteers? Come on, Destiny. Oh, yeah.
Is it new clients per month, recurring clients per month, repairs, converted services, and with a broken screen, then they come back for the tutorial, the walkthrough, or they need their Wi-Fi taken off. So, total repairs per month, total services per month, subscriptions held for the current month, new subscriptions, and subscriptions.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Those are some great ones.
Online, they may not have heard that, but
There was a lot of good ones. Yeah. Anybody else? So again, they're going to vary greatly by your business or even what you're looking for. And start out with a few and then move forward. We have a lot more. The other one, someone mentioned it too for you guys, was time to close. We are starting to track a little bit of our time to close too.
So a good example on yours that I would think about is, so as I'm thinking about service and that type of thing is, and this is something we do a good job with our clients, is who is your target, who's your ideal target in an industry, right? So, you might even want to break it down to renters, right? So you have renters that have something break and they have to call their landlord to have it fixed, right? So there's rental associations, there's Florida Rent, there's others that have these people on contract to do all of the service, right? So it could be, as you start to track, okay, who was this person? Was it a corporate? Was it this, right? And then the next key performance indicator for us is we identified who are our connectors to leads. Okay, that's something that somebody misses, is like, who's the connector to those builders, right? Is it a banker? Is it a real estate investor? So when we did ours in January, our entire schedule is filled meeting with bankers, wealth advisors, and CPAs, because they would be the people who know that their clients have their finances messed up. Do you see what I mean? And they're a lead generator. They would provide that warm introduction. And so I just looked at it that every time I met with a connector was a new potential lead. Okay, and that's what you got to start thinking about, is that prospecting. I know we're getting into a little bit of sales, but that could also be a KPI.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a nice transition too, which is, how do you turn things into a math equation? So when you mentioned the time to close, so we know from meeting a new client to the process we go through, at minimum, it's going to take 2 weeks. So we know sitting here in May, we can look in our pipeline and see, okay, we need one more client this month. What's our pipeline look like? Do we think we're going to hit that in the process? If we've got no one in that pipeline, we know we're not going to hit our number, and then we got to start focusing on June. So everything is so interrelated, but the more those metrics you have, the more you can turn your business into a process and a math equation.
That's a great point, because here's what most people do, right, is you're not going to hit your numbers in May. It's May, what's the date today? May 19th, right? So we're at that critical, so if we know ours is about a 2-week process to build that trust with a potential client, right? And we have our set system of how we do it, and it's worked well to build that trust with that person. We do a lot of free work to get there, right? A lot of free meetings and everything else. But what happens is then you want to violate that, right? You're like, I got to close. Okay, we're just going to speed you up through this. We're going to go right to the 45-minute discovery, and here's your proposal, right? Well, then my close rate's going to go down to like 10%. Right, so it's one of those things where I have to have planned that May 5th versus now, right? I have to have already had some in the pipeline. So we already have somebody meeting on Monday. We have somebody meeting on Wednesday. We have 5 seminars next week. We have, so it's like you have to be planning this well ahead, because you can't just go to somebody and say, book a seminar for One Man Cups and, okay, I'm going to go next week. You have to have that plan well ahead. So that's something that you have to be looking for, and what this helps with too, these processes.
So how do you turn the future into predictive analysis or analytics? Those are big words for me. But that's what we've been talking about. That's everything that what I do?
Spelled it right.
That's a positive, right? But everything we've been doing is about, how do we turn this into processes? How do we turn it into math? How do we make things more predictive for you? Why is Vegas successful? Odds, right? They don't worry about the revenue. All they worry about is putting butts in the seats. They know if they put butts in the seats, they're going to be successful. So how do you become Vegas for your business? Has anyone ever heard of 1031? So I interned with Northwestern Mutual. My brother worked for them for 2 years doing life insurance and some financial stuff. But I can't think of the guy's name. But he tracked over 40 years of data. And it's played out for every single person that's worked for them is 1031. And that's their sales math equation. So for every 10 phone calls, every 10 phone calls where they talk to somebody on the phone, they know they're going to get 3 meetings. 3 people are actually going to sit down and meet with them. And they know out of those 3, they're going to get 1 client. So that's what we do and that's where these financial and sales merge, is how do we make that predictive? So what metrics can you put in place? And here's the flip side. So we had a friend of ours who we told us to, he goes, oh man, he goes, I worked for Northwestern Mutual. And he goes, here's the story my manager my mentor at the time told me. He goes, I made $1,000. I made a sale, I made $1,000. And his leader goes, well, how'd that make you feel? He's like, dude, man, it was awesome. Like, I just made $1,000. He goes, no. He goes, here's the way I look at it. He goes, every time you pick up the phone, you make $100. Change the mindset for him. So how do you change that mindset for you so that you know every time you pick up the phone or every time you meet a lead, you know your equation. You know what that lead is worth to you.
Yeah, and we actually talked to this friend early in our process, and even 19 years of sales, I had actually never heard that flipped. So it actually helped me with our business to look at those connector meetings, right? Or a meeting with somebody is like, before I got to meet another banker, no offense, right? Like at another banker at a tower in their office with their pictures of golf. And I'm just like, dude, how many bankers can I meet with, or wealth advisors, right? But I looked at it different. I looked at, based on our numbers, I looked at every one of those was money, right? Like, because I never knew, or if somebody wanted to meet and be a connector, I wasn't like sitting there going, well, I don't think I should meet with that person because they might not get me any business. That's bunk, right? I just met with them. We told everybody in the planet what we do. And so, that's part of it, is that you have to tell everybody about what you're doing. Or like my dad used to say, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody's going to do it for you. Right? So we just went and told everybody what we do at all levels, 1 million cups, it doesn't matter. You have to get out there. Now you have to provide value. Don't get me wrong. You can't just go up there and tell about yourself. You have to give something too, right?
So sample math equation, just to boil it down even more. Let's say you have a 33% close rate. Obviously, you can't just determine what your close rate is, but if you track it over time and see you have that close rate, and you have a goal of getting 3 new clients a month in 2017, you know you need 3 leads then to get that client. So if you can get 9 leads a month, you're going to get 3 new clients. Same thing for you guys then. What is that? You got to start wide to get down to here. And the more you know those processes and those steps, the more you're going to make that predictive.
Go back, we break that down on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so breaking that down, then you need 2 to 2.5, or breaking it down to that kind of stuff. So how do we do your sales math equation? And so start thinking about it for you. I'm going to tell you ours. So we're gonna give you a little secret here. Here's our process. We get a lead. We set that initial meeting for us. It's going to be different for everyone. Yours, you may close someone on the spot, right? Or what is that? How many does it take? How many meetings does it take to close them? So it's going to be different. But you know that you can figure out for every 5 people to walk on your lot, you may sell 1 car. So now how do you bump up those 5 people? It becomes a marketing problem once you figure out what the sales process is. Oh, yeah.
Question, what's the black layer?
That is proposal. I don't know why that was blacked out. Yeah, that's proposal. Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
Oh, there it
yeah,
is.
there it is. So that's Proposal. Mac to Microsoft. Okay, good. Oh, good. So, good. Yeah, so proposal. So we know with the leads, our actual math equation, we don't know this yet. What we know is initial meetings. So our whole thing is if we schedule this initial meeting, we know we're going to get X amount of clients. These are the other steps that come into play, and we don't know the percentages yet of what hits each step, but it doesn't matter. We know where we are to get to here. So what are those? Oh, yeah.
Can you pick that up for us?
Yeah.
In my thoughts, I would absolutely reverse that entire, I would flip that entire slide. All the work is getting the leads. Put that down on the bottom because this is the end result, the goal.
Yes, but this is, so that's a really good point. I agree with you, but this is a sales funnel.
Yeah.
So this is you got to dump a lot into the funnel to get it to get them to come out. So that's the only thing. So yeah, you could look at it. Yeah. So what steps are in your process from marketing through the lead all the way to the client?
Could you go back to
Oh, yep.
I have one quick step. And I know it's not showing up. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Sweet. Okay, so what we talked about was violating our process, right? So as an example, we had one just recently where we got a lead, did the initial, 15 to 20 minute meeting, then scheduled a discovery meeting where we come back, ask more questions, we figure out exactly what they need. We did not set a proposal meeting, right? We always set a proposal meeting, send the proposal 2 days before. So what we did is we thought, this is awesome, man. We're having great, rapport and everything else. Awesome, man. And showing us around everywhere. And we're just going to send you the proposal. Well, of course, witness protection program, never heard from the person, can't get an email, goes into just friend zone, right? I hate the friend zone as a salesperson. Never, ever, ever be in friend zone, okay? Because you don't want to chase somebody. They're just not that into you then, right? So we violated that. Oh, wow, shocker, they didn't become a client, right? So you violated that trust along the way, okay? And you have to stick with your process and be disciplined about it, or else you're going to end up with no clients.
And everybody's process is going to be different, obviously.
And I know this sounds like a lot of sales talk, or it's not at all, though, in the sense that we're talking about your math equation with this. And for a business or a B2C, so for consumer product, your process is going to look extremely different. But what are those steps to get there? What are the stages that you need to measure for that? And then what are those numbers that go into each of those to create that equation? The more you can systemize it, the more success that you're going to have. So any other questions on that piece? Oh, yeah.
What's the thing about building rapport and what proposals? Like say if you're talking to somebody and they want a car and they have this type of lifestyle, this budget, all that stuff, it's not like build off of what they already told me and set up a proposal before I even before we even sit down, so I'm already like, okay, well, this is what we have looking for.
Absolutely. And since that's more sales focused, we'll take it offline, but talk to him after because it's all about systems and processes. Absolutely. So remember we talked about this before. Bill, you're seeing this for the first time again, right? Yeah, so remember we talked about this before, right? We know we have a need and we know we want results. But we often lack the strategy in the process. So from taking this and trying to put it into a math equation, trying to put it into a financial forecast, if we put our 2017 goals or 2018 goals now into that needs piece, and we do that financial forecasting that we have and some of the other items that you know from a strategic standpoint, and then on that process side, you really stay focused on those KPIs, and whatever yours are, and really start to manage that per month, your results are going to be predetermined. You know what results you're going to have. If you can focus on this process, Bill and I know because we're focusing on this process, we know what our results are going to be. We're already seeing it. And it's no different for your business. I mentioned this book before, and I think that this is a phenomenal book for any business owner. But one of the critical things that I mentioned before was it talking about process and how much you need to process your business, every step of it. And there's really three people that are in every business that this talks about. So there's the technician, the entrepreneur, and the manager. And every single person that starts a business is a technician, right? You've got 26, 27 years in the industry, right? So you're a technician. You start the business because you want to be on your own. You have an entrepreneurial spirit. That's how you start it. But you're the technician. The problem is you then start to spend all your time on the technician side. And being the manager lacks and being the entrepreneur lacks. And that's where the whole working in your business versus working on it. So one, I encourage everyone to go read this book. But the other thing is, I encourage you to do, and this is one of the critical things that he talks about, is building an org chart for your business. This is Bill and I's organization chart. So we got a lot of different roles, right? It's pretty wide. But you build out that org chart, and then you start filling your name in. So it's you two, right? You two for your business. So how do you two assign your names to each of these different areas? Or who do you find that can come in and either outsource it or you hire an employee or whatever? But going back to that technician side, everyone's focused here. Like, this is what you got to do. Everyone's focused on the operations. You know you need sales, so that becomes the second piece. The problem is right here. The problem is because you're not spending time, you may not have the skills or the understanding, you may not have the time or the focus, but because you aren't spending time on that finance side, that's where you really start to get in trouble. The other thing, too, I'm going to make a little bit of self-deprecating joke here, but you do have to set aside ego when you're a business owner, too, right? Because I'm like, this is just me right here. This is all I have in this, right? A couple things here. I'm not doing this yet, right? So he's all that, okay? So you have to set that ego aside and know what you do well and what you don't do well, right? I mean, that's the key to getting out of that technician mode and getting back to and even in that book, he calls it an entrepreneurial seizure. Like, you just have this like, oh my God, I want to be an entrepreneur. And then you end up just with a job, basically is what he said, right? That's not being an entrepreneur, right? You have to fill in all of these, okay? And even some of these, operations, I'm going to be at least involved in all of these. So I may joke that I don't see numbers, but I darn well am involved in all this as one of the business owners, right? And so that's the other thing that we see with some of our CEO clients is that they are actually the bottleneck. So they're sitting up here and everything just ends with them and dies, right? Everything dies right here. None else of this gets done because you're the bottleneck, right? So you got to understand what you do well and what you don't do well, and either delegate to elevate, as one of our clients says, right? Or you got to find somebody who does it well that you trust. And that's where we've just had huge success in terms of our personality types.
A couple of things. It's 11:04.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to remind you guys of that. Second, for the finance area, there's a lot of companies you can outsource that work to and allow you to stay focused on the other things that you're talking about, where they can manage those functions of your business, so you don't, as an owner, have to manage those functions. And as someone who is solo right now, except when my wife is with me, I outsource that middle piece to an expert in that industry, because for me to learn that area, it's going to take a lot of time.
Absolutely.
A lot of money.
So let me ask you this. Are you outsourcing both of these or just the accounting?
The accounting, definitely, and even to some extent, the forecasting. I do monitor a lot of that piece myself, but my accounting firm that I use, they do a lot of that work.
So that's awesome, and that's what you need then, and you need to sit down sounds like you already are, on a regular basis.
Yeah,
and look
with them on a regular basis. They give me reports. We can see where we're at. QuickBooks is very useful.
Yep.
As you begin to learn that tool and that technology. But again, I'm not spending hours in that section. I'm spending them every month to manage that function because, you know, if I had a degree in finance and that was sort of my sweet spot, then yeah, I'd probably want to own that. But I'm like, Bill, I want to be in the sales side.
That, what you just described is the reason we have a company.
Right.
Because of that piece. And it's not just, but what we do that, and maybe not, I don't know the guys that you work with on yours, but the other thing that I hope they're doing is it's not just about reporting numbers, it's about having the insights with them.
Right.
And helping them make strategic decisions. Because I mentioned our business model earlier of coming in for 30 days. Well, the reason we're sticking around is because they're coming to us with their problems.
Right.
Hey, I want to bring on a payroll solution. What do you guys think? Let's break it down. Let's look at it.
Office space.
I want to do new office space. Okay, let's break it down. What's that look like?
Well, so the comment that I heard about hiring employees earlier, you know, sometimes it can actually be more effective for you to hire a company that is in that industry or that area that you have a need for and outsource it to them. They're liable, okay, because now you're paying them to do something, whereas if you hire somebody, you've now taken on that liability.
Absolutely.
These roles are very different.
For us, this is where we suck at this.
Right.
We know that. That's where we're looking to offload for us. So don't spend time trying to do something you're not good at. If you can find someone else to plug in, do it. If you need to hire someone full time, do that.
Right.
But you got to at least identify these areas. You know, you got to identify the areas that you need so you can fill those gaps.
Sometimes as business owners, though, we get wrapped up in having the control. And one of the things I've learned through my experience is that, as you put it, delegate to elevate.
Yep.
It's a very true statement. If you listen, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and successful entrepreneurs who have been through this and done it will tell you that they are successful because they figured out how to stay in their zone, meaning what they do well. And everything that they don't do well, either have an employee for, or they have a contract relationship, or they outsource it.
The biggest thing with E-Myth that he talks about is you process your systems so you can take good people and make them great.
Right.
You can't hire the great person. And one of the other critical things he says is don't hire someone, like they may be good at X, Y, Z, and you say, I'm going to hire you to go do this. If you don't need that function, there's no point, even though they're great and a rock star, all-star. You have a specific need. Hire someone for that need, have the process, outsource it, whatever, but have that process in place, and I'll take you to the next level. So.
Yeah, one other comment that I would make real quick, too, just more information for the business owners, and I found what I've been dealing with as I try to grow the businesses that I have. Process is key. It is a very, very hard thing to get yourself in the mindset of I need to sit down and do the Sunday night thing to put all this information in. But it makes you smarter as a business owner, and it almost becomes a routine after you've done it for so long. The other thing is it becomes valuable if you ever decide to sell the business.
No one's ever going to buy your business if you don't have a process.
If you can show these are the steps that need to be done for your business, people will want to buy your business for the value that you want to sell it for. If you don't have the process there, and a lot of business owners aren't thinking about that. I had to run into somebody, a mentor of mine, who said, have you thought about exit planning is what they call it. And I said, well, you know, I'm young. I still have a lot of, you know, room to go and a lot of runway. And he said, yeah, but at some point it could come that you want to do this, and now you're going to be 20 years down the road, and trying to package all that together in 20 years, or 20 years worth of information is really hard. Do it today, and that becomes your sellable asset.
That's the other critical piece where he talks about through the whole book is you need to, it's a one-man shop, you need to think about it as a franchise. Yeah. Because if you think about it as a franchise, then you're going to be able to sell it.
Great point.
My final slide is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So my mom always told me growing up. And so I say that to say, listen, you've gotten a ton of information here today. I hope you can take some of it and go implement in your business, or find the areas that you can that can help you to go out there and kind of make